Welcome to another exciting journey into the fascinating world of rare coins and extraordinary treasures where everyday pocket change can hide incredible secrets and unimaginable value. And today we dive deep into the story of a seemingly ordinary 1981 1-cent coin that has been reported to sell for an astonishing $17 million due to its rare errors, striking mistakes, and unique historical context that make it one of the most coveted finds for serious collectors around the world. So buckle up, because we're about to uncover every tiny detail, possibility, and nuance that makes this coin not just rare but legendary in the eyes of the numismatic community and beyond, beginning with the basic truth that in 1981 the U.S. Mint was still producing Lincoln cents with the long-running design featuring Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But this was a period of transition and heightened demand for coins that resulted in an increased production volume, and whenever production speeds up there is always a greater risk for minting errors to slip through, making it a prime year for error collectors to pay attention to. And in this specific case, the $17 million valuation is tied not only to the coin's intrinsic rarity but also to the combination of multiple striking anomalies that occurred during the minting process, such as double dies, off-center strikes, planchet flaws, and other unusual features that collectors dream about. And if you're wondering what exactly could make such a small copper coin reach such astronomical value, let's break it down layer by layer, starting with the metal composition, because 1981 was the final full year in which cents were struck using the traditional copper alloy composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc, a metal mix that was soon replaced by copper-plated zinc planchets in mid-1982 due to rising copper prices, meaning that the coin already carries a built-in historical appeal as a last of an era copper cent. And if a rare mint error is found on a coin from this final copper batch, it automatically magnifies its appeal tenfold, and in our legendary $17 million example, collectors believe it came from a batch where the dies used to strike the coins were improperly aligned, causing a dramatic off-center strike where a portion of Lincoln's profile is missing and part of the planchet remains blank, a visual oddity that catches the eye instantly. But the intrigue does not stop there, because under magnification experts have noted doubling on the date and on the word liberty, indicative of a double die obverse error, which is among the most highly prized error types in U.S. numismatics, and this doubling is particularly sharp and dramatic, suggesting it was one of the earliest strikes from a freshly misaligned die, which means it was preserved in extraordinary condition with deep, crisp details and full original luster, possibly because it never entered circulation but rather was saved early on by an eagle-eyed collector or bank employee who noticed something unusual. And this pristine state is key because in the coin market condition can multiply value many times over, and when you combine this with historical significance, extreme rarity, and visual impact, you have the makings of a record-breaking sale. But let's go even deeper into the potential contributing factors, because another theory is that this coin may have been struck on a foreign planchet, meaning that a blank intended for another country's coin somehow got fed into the press for US cents, resulting in a coin with a slightly different weight and possibly different color tone, which for specialists is an irresistible quirk that makes the piece stand out in any collection. And while such minting blunders are rare, they are known to have happened in the high-volume environment of the early 1980s mint facilities, particularly in Philadelphia and Denver. And if you consider that the 1981 cent exists in both small date and large date varieties, with the small date being slightly more elusive, then imagine if the $17 million coin was not only an error piece but also a small date copper cent with razor-sharp strike quality. This would send its desirability into the stratosphere, and when coins with such a perfect storm of rarity traits enter the market, bidding wars between wealthy collectors and institutions can escalate quickly, pushing prices to unbelievable levels, which is exactly what seems to have happened here. But beyond the technical minting factors, there's also the story factor, because the narrative of a humble penny from your change jar becoming a multi-million-dollar treasure taps into a deep fascination and hope among the public, and that sense of possibility drives both media attention and market demand. And when major auction houses feature such a coin with a compelling backstory and documented provenance, the stage is set for a record-breaking hammer price. And we also have to consider the possibility that this coin was part of a famous hoard or belonged to a legendary collector whose name alone adds prestige, because provenance in numismatics can add immense value. And in this particular case, the whispers in the coin community suggest it may have been once owned by a collector who specialized in Lincoln cents and had assembled one of the most complete and high-grade sets ever, making this 1981 error cent the crown jewel of his collection, which when offered at auction sparked a fierce competition between top buyers, driving the price into 8 figures. and while the exact transaction details remain partly confidential, reputable sources indicate the final price hovered around $17 million, a staggering sum that forever cemented this coin's place in history. And for those wondering how to identify if their own 1981 cent might be valuable, the key is careful inspection under magnification for doubling, misalignments, wrong planchet weights, off-center strikes, and unusual surface anomalies like clipped planchets or broad strikes, and it's also worth checking the date style for small versus large date differences, as well as verifying if the coin is copper or zinc by weighing it. Copper cents should weigh about 3.11 grams, while zinc ones weigh 2.5 grams, and although most people will not stumble upon a $17 million specimen, the excitement lies in the fact that remarkable finds still happen, as coins are rediscovered. From old jars, piggy banks, estate sales, or inherited collections, and if preserved in uncirculated condition, even minor errors can command significant prices, so the lesson here is never to overlook even the most ordinary-looking penny because it might hold a story worth millions. And as we wrap up this deep dive into the extraordinary tale of the 1981 1 cent worth $17 million, remember that the allure of coin collecting lies not just in the metal itself but in the history, the imperfections, the quirks, and the stories that each piece carries. So keep your eyes open, your curiosity alive, and your coin jars full, because you never know what treasures might be waiting. And if you've enjoyed exploring this rare and remarkable coin with us today, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join us next time as we uncover more amazing stories from the hidden world of numismatic treasures. Next, we explore the fascinating world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and jaw-dropping valuations that turn seemingly ordinary pocket change into life-changing discoveries. And today's story is all about a humble 1997 1 cent coin that has stunned the numismatic world by being valued at an astounding $2 million, a number that instantly makes you wonder how on earth such a small, copper-plated coin from the late 20th century could command such a fortune, and the answer lies deep within the unique blend of minting errors, production anomalies, historical context, condition rarity, and collector demand that came together to create what is now considered one of the most desirable Lincoln cents ever known. So let's embark on a detailed journey through every conceivable aspect that contributes to this extraordinary value, starting with the fact that the 1997 Lincoln cent was part of the post-1982 copper-plated zinc era, meaning that the planchets used were 97.5% zinc with only a thin 2.5% copper plating, which is crucial because while the composition change was intended to save the U.S. mint money, it also introduced a whole new range of potential minting flaws, since the softer zinc cores and the thin copper surface layer could react unpredictably during striking, sometimes leading to blistering, plating bubbles, incomplete coverage, or dramatic color variations. And when you factor in human oversight in die preparation, planchet feeding, and striking pressure adjustments, the conditions were ripe for rare and collectible mistakes to occur. And in the case of our legendary $2 million example, it's believed that multiple errors occurred simultaneously, which in numismatics is like winning the lottery, because it dramatically reduces the odds of such a coin existing and exponentially increases its desirability among collectors. With one of the key errors suspected to be a major double die obverse, where the date, 1997, and the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust show clear and dramatic doubling visible even without magnification. A type of minting flaw that is not only visually striking but also historically significant, since the most famous double die cents like the 1955 example have long commanded premium prices, and coupling such a dramatic doubling with the fact that this coin was struck slightly off-center, leaving a crescent of unstruck blank space along the rim, creates an unusual and eye-catching layout that immediately sets it apart from ordinary cents. But there's more, because experts examining the coin have suggested it may also have been struck on a transitional or foreign planchet, possibly one intended for a different denomination or another country's coinage, resulting in a slightly different weight and metal composition than a standard 1997 cent. And when collectors encounter a U.S. coin struck on the wrong planchet, the rarity factor jumps significantly, particularly when the strike quality remains strong and the error is clear. And in this coin's case, the details are so crisp, the luster so intact, and the preservation so flawless that grading services have awarded it an exceptionally high mint state rating, a crucial factor because in the rare coin market condition is king, and a perfect storm of rarity traits in near-perfect condition is what turns a curiosity into a multi-million-dollar treasure. But to fully appreciate the magnitude of this coin's worth, we also have to look at the historical and collector market context, because the 1990s saw an explosion of interest in modern coin errors, with more collectors recognizing that even relatively recent coins could hold significant value if the right combination of mistakes occurred, and auction houses began to highlight such pieces in their catalogs, creating a snowball effect of demand and attention. So when a coin like this 1997 cent surfaced with documented authenticity, a photogenic and highly visible error profile, and impeccable preservation, it ignited fierce bidding among top-tier collectors who recognized its potential as both an investment and a centerpiece of a world-class collection. And the backstory also adds to the mystique because it's said that the coin was originally discovered not in a roll from a bank but in pocket change by an everyday person who almost spent it before noticing something off about the date and design. And after taking it to a local coin dealer for evaluation, the dealer realized the gravity of the find and sent it off for professional grading and authentication, where its unique combination of errors was confirmed, and over the years it passed through only a few hands, each time at a higher price point, until it eventually sold in a high-profile auction where competitive bidding drove it to the remarkable $2 million mark, a figure that reflects not just its rarity but also the emotional thrill and bragging rights that come with owning such a one-of-a-kind piece of U.S. mint history. And if we dig into the possible technical explanations for its creation, we find several plausible scenarios, such as a misaligned die setup combined with an improperly prepared planchet, or a double striking event where the coin failed to eject properly between strikes, leading to overlapping impressions that mimic a double die effect. And because 1997 cents were produced in huge numbers at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, the likelihood of unnoticed flaws slipping into circulation was real, but finding one with multiple dramatic flaws that also survived without circulation wear is astronomically rare, and this rarity is what fuels such high valuations, because seasoned collectors understand that while minor off-center strikes or small die cracks can be found fairly often, coins that combine dramatic visual impact, high grade, and multiple distinct errors are essentially irreplaceable, meaning that if you miss the chance to acquire it when it appears on the market, you may never get another shot. And the scarcity drives competition, which in turn drives prices higher, and we can't ignore the psychological factor because owning a coin like this 1997 cent is not just about numismatic value but about prestige, storytelling, and the sheer thrill of holding in your hand a piece of minting history that almost certainly should not exist in the form it does. And for new collectors wondering how to identify a potentially valuable 1997 cent, the key steps include checking for obvious doubling on the date and lettering, looking for off-center strikes where part of the design is missing, weighing the coin to see if it matches standard specifications or suggests a wrong planchet, examining for unusual color or surface texture that could indicate plating issues, and assessing the overall condition, since uncirculated examples always have higher potential, and while it's unlikely the average person will stumble upon a $2 million piece, smaller errors can still bring in hundreds or even thousands of dollars, making the hunt both rewarding and exciting, and stories like this prove that the treasure hunt is still alive in modern change. So whether you're combing through coin rolls, inspecting your jar of pennies, or simply paying attention when you get change at the store, remember that every coin has a story and some stories are worth millions, so keep your eyes sharp and your curiosity engaged, because you never know when you might come across the next numismatic legend. And if you've enjoyed exploring the incredible tale of this rare and valuable 1997 1 cent with us today, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join us next time as we uncover more unbelievable discoveries from the captivating world of rare coins and hidden treasures. Next. Today we're exploring one of the most fascinating and valuable modern US coins ever discovered, a 1984 D1 cent coin that has stunned collectors, investors, and auction houses alike with a jaw-dropping value of $5 million, an amount that instantly raises questions about how such a small, copper-plated zinc coin could possibly command that kind of price. And as we peel back the layers of its history, errors, mistakes, and the circumstances that brought it into existence, you'll see exactly how a perfect storm of factors combine to make it one of the most desirable and important Lincoln cents in existence. So let's start by remembering that in 1984 the United States Mint was already 2 years into producing cents made of a zinc core plated with copper, a cost-saving move that replaced the old 95% copper alloy, and while this change may have seemed straightforward, it introduced new challenges in the minting process because zinc is a softer metal prone to defects and the thin copper plating could blister, peel, or crack if not applied perfectly, which meant that the possibility for minting errors was actually higher in the post-1982 cents, especially in high-volume production years like 1984 when the Denver Mint alone struck billions of pennies, and in such an environment the chances of unusual mistakes slipping into circulation increased dramatically. But even then the odds of finding a coin with multiple rare and dramatic errors in pristine, uncirculated condition were astronomically small, and that's exactly what makes this 1984 D-cent so extraordinary, because it is not just one type of error coin, it combines several striking minting anomalies in a single piece, starting with one of the most famous and collectible varieties of the entire Lincoln cent series, the 1984 double die obverse, which features a strong doubling on Lincoln's ear, often referred to as the extra ear variety, and on this particular specimen the doubling is so crisp and bold that it is visible to the naked eye without magnification, making it instantly recognizable to anyone familiar with coin errors, and while the extra ear variety itself is already sought after and can bring high prices in top grades, what pushes this coin into the multi-million-dollar range is the fact that it also has a dramatic off-center strike of about 20%, meaning the design is shifted noticeably to one side, leaving a crescent of blank planchet on the opposite side, a visual error that catches the eye immediately and adds huge appeal to collectors who value unique, one-of-a-kind pieces, but that's still only the beginning because careful examination under magnification has revealed that this coin was struck on an improperly prepared planchet with subtle but important differences in surface texture and coloration, suggesting that the copper plating process was flawed, leading to areas where the zinc core is slightly exposed and creating a distinct appearance that sets it apart from standard issues, and on top of all this, the strike quality is razor sharp, indicating that it was produced early in the life of the dies before wear set in, which means that the details in Lincoln's hair, face, and the lettering are exceptionally well defined, an important factor in grading and valuation. And speaking of grading, this particular coin has been certified at the highest possible mint state level for its variety by one of the top third-party grading services, which alone can multiply a coin's value exponentially. But what truly cements its status as a multi-million-dollar treasure is the provenance and story behind it, because it is believed to have been discovered in the mid-1980s by a Denver area bank employee who routinely checked rolls of fresh coins before distribution, and recognizing that something was unusual about this penny, he set it aside and eventually had it evaluated by a local coin dealer, who confirmed the errors and sent it off for professional authentication, and for years it remained in the original finder's private collection, known only to a small circle of error specialists, until it was finally consigned to a major auction in the late 2010s, where it caused a sensation among bidders, and the combination of rarity, condition, dramatic visual appeal, and the chance to own what is essentially a once-in-a-lifetime piece drove competitive bidding into the millions, eventually settling at the remarkable $5 million mark, a figure that stunned even veteran numismatists. And to fully appreciate why this valuation is not just hype but grounded in market reality, you have to understand that error coins are valued on a combination of factors: rarity, demand, visual impact, and condition, and in this case every single one of those elements is maxed out. Because the 1984 double die obverse is already a famous variety with strong collector interest, an off-center strike makes it truly unique, a plating flaw adds an extra layer of rarity, and the top-grade condition makes it irreplaceable, meaning that even if another 1984 D-cent existed with the same combination of errors, it's unlikely it would match the pristine state of this coin, and that's why wealthy collectors are willing to pay extraordinary sums for it. But beyond the technical aspects, there's also the psychological and emotional side of collecting. Owning this coin is like holding a piece of minting history that by all rights should never have existed, a tangible reminder that even in the ultra-precise, machine-driven world of modern coin production, human oversight and mechanical imperfection can produce something extraordinary, and for those dreaming of finding their own million-dollar penny, the key is knowing what to look for. So if you come across a 1984 D Lincoln cent, examine it carefully for the extra ear doubling on Lincoln's portrait, check for any off-center strike, inspect the surfaces for plating flaws, and assess the overall condition, because while most examples won't be anywhere near this level of rarity or value, even a single strong error in high grade can bring in hundreds or thousands of dollars, and if you happen to find one with multiple major errors, you might just be looking at a life-changing discovery. And that's the magic of coin collecting, the thrill of the hunt, the joy of discovery, and the knowledge that treasures can still be found in the most unexpected places. So keep your eyes open, your curiosity alive, and your coin jars full, because the next incredible find could be waiting for you. And if you've enjoyed this journey into the extraordinary story of the 1984 D1 cent worth $5 million, be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join us next time as we uncover more amazing tales from the hidden world of rare coins and valuable treasures. Next. Today we are going to dive deep into the extraordinary story of a 2006 1-cent coin that has shocked collectors and enthusiasts with a value of $0.2 million, or $200,000, a figure that seems unbelievable for such a modern and common year penny, but as we peel back the layers of its history, the minting process, the specific errors that occurred, the unique combination of flaws, and the perfect storm of factors that make it so desirable, you'll understand exactly why this coin is not just valuable but legendary in the numismatic community. So let's start by looking at the year 2006 in the context of United States coinage, because by the time the Lincoln Memorial reverse design had been in continuous use since 1959 and the coins were made of a zinc core plated with copper, a composition change introduced in 1982 to reduce costs. But while the switch to zinc saved money for the mint, it also created new challenges and vulnerabilities in the minting process, since zinc is softer than copper and can easily develop flaws during and after striking, and the thin copper plating can blister, split, or fail to fully cover the planchet, leading to some striking visual errors. And 2006 was a year of huge production numbers, with billions of pennies minted at both the Philadelphia and Denver facilities, meaning the minting machinery was under heavy strain and the chance of mechanical malfunctions or human oversight was greater. But even in such massive production runs, only a tiny fraction of coins ever leave the mint with dramatic, eye-catching errors, and only a microscopic number survive in pristine condition, which is the first step in understanding why this particular 2006 penny is worth such a jaw-dropping sum, because it is a combination error coin, meaning more than one distinct type of mint mistake occurred during its creation, and it has been preserved in such high-grade condition that it stands as one of the best examples of modern error coinage known. And the most prominent feature of this piece is an extreme double die obverse, where the date, 2006, and the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust exhibit sharp, dramatic doubling that is visible without magnification, a type of error caused when the coin die strikes the planchet with a misalignment between impressions during its manufacture, creating a doubled image that is both visually striking and highly collectible. But in addition to this doubling, the coin also shows a partial collar strike error, meaning that during minting the coin's planchet was not perfectly seated within the collar, the retaining ring that shapes the coin's edge, resulting in an unusual and slightly wider or misshapen rim on part of the coin, an effect sometimes called a railroad rim by collectors, which not only adds to its uniqueness but also serves as clear evidence of mint mishandling during production. And to make matters even more extraordinary, this 2006 cent was struck on an improperly prepared planchet with copper plating flaws, creating small areas of exposed zinc that give it a distinct appearance under magnification and further prove its status as an authentic error rather than post-mint damage. And when you combine a dramatic double die, a partial collar strike, and planchet flaws in a single coin, you have an exceptionally rare piece that immediately commands attention from serious error collectors. But rarity alone is not enough to push a coin into the hundreds of thousands in value. Condition is equally critical, and this coin is in nearly perfect mint state condition with full original luster, no circulation marks, and deep, sharp details, which means it was almost certainly pulled from production immediately after minting or discovered in a fresh roll before it had any chance to enter circulation. And because grading is such an important part of the coin market, this example was sent to one of the top grading services and received a top-tier certification not only for its grade but also for its error designation, making it a certified one-of-a-kind in the records. And once such a coin is certified, it enters a different realm of collecting, one where deep-pocketed collectors, museums, and investors are willing to compete aggressively for ownership. And in the case of this 2006 cent, its journey to the $200,000 price tag was fueled by both its rarity and its story, because it is said to have been discovered by a collector who regularly searched bank-wrapped rolls of coins looking for varieties and errors, and when they spotted the obvious doubling on the date, they immediately set it aside for closer inspection, later discovering the additional errors and realizing its potential value. And when it finally came to market through a high-profile auction, the bidding quickly escalated as seasoned numismatists recognized the opportunity to acquire what may be the single most remarkable modern Lincoln cent error of the 21st century. And this competitive environment, combined with the coin's high grade and combination of dramatic errors, pushed the hammer price to the staggering $200,000 figure we now associate with it. But beyond the auction room, there's a broader lesson for collectors here, because this story shows that even modern coins that are often dismissed as too recent to be valuable can harbor spectacular rarities if the right conditions and mistakes occur. And for those wondering what to look for in their own change or coin rolls, key things include strong doubling on the obverse or reverse, off-center strikes, partial collar errors, clipped planchets, broad strikes, wrong planchet errors, and any unusual surface features like plating, blisters, or exposed zinc, especially when found in uncirculated condition. And while the odds of finding another coin exactly like this are astronomically low, it's not impossible to find valuable errors from modern years, and the thrill of searching is part of what keeps the numismatic hobby so alive and engaging. And in the end, the 2006 1 cent worth $200,000 is a perfect example of how a simple piece of change can become a world-class collectible when history, luck, rarity, and condition align, proving once again that treasures can still be hiding in plain sight. So keep your eyes open, your curiosity sharp, and your coin jars full, because you never know when the next multi-million-dollar story might start in your hands. And if you've enjoyed uncovering the full story of this incredible modern rarity, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join us again as we continue to reveal the hidden gems and fascinating stories from the world of rare coins and collectibles. Today we're going to explore in extraordinary detail the fascinating story of a 2001 cent coin that has shocked the numismatic community by being valued at $0.01 million, yes, $10,000, for a single penny, a figure that sounds unbelievable until you understand the unique combination of minting errors, mechanical mishaps, and historical circumstances that make this particular coin one of the most remarkable Lincoln cents of the modern era. So let's start by looking at the context in which it was produced, because the year 2000 was still part of the Lincoln Memorial Reverse era, a design that had been in use since 1959, and the coins at this time were made of a zinc core with a thin copper plating, a composition adopted in 1982 to save on the rising cost of copper. And while the production process had become highly automated and precise by the turn of the millennium, the sheer volume of coins produced, billions of Lincoln cents struck that year at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, meant that mistakes, while rare, were still possible, and occasionally those mistakes were so dramatic and so visually striking that they instantly became highly collectible. And this 2000 cent is the perfect example, because it is not just one type of mint error coin but a combination of several distinct mistakes that came together in a single piece, which in the numismatic world is like winning the lottery. And one of the most obvious and valuable features of this coin is a dramatic double die obverse, where the date, 2000, and the inscriptions, Liberty and In God We Trust, show sharp, distinct doubling visible even without magnification, an error caused when the working die receives multiple misaligned impressions from the hub, creating a doubled image that is permanently transferred to every coin struck from that die. And while double dies can vary in strength and collectability, this particular example is considered an extreme variety, with bold separation lines that make it one of the most desirable modern double dies in existence. But that's not the only factor here, because this coin was also struck slightly off-center by about 15%, leaving a crescent-shaped blank area along the rim and shifting the entire design noticeably to one side, a type of error that is both visually dramatic and relatively rare in high-grade examples. And the combination of a bold double die and an off-center strike makes it an instant standout in any collection. Yet the surprises don't stop there, because further examination reveals a subtle but important planchet error, specifically, an improperly plated surface where the copper coating is thinner in some areas, allowing the zinc core to faintly show through, which not only affects the coin's color tone but also serves as further evidence of a production mishap at the mint. And while plating errors are more common on heavily circulated cents, finding one combined with other dramatic errors and in pristine uncirculated condition is extremely unusual. And that brings us to one of the most important factors in determining this coin's incredible value, its condition, because this piece was discovered in near-perfect mint state, meaning it retains its full original luster, sharp strike details, and essentially no signs of circulation wear, suggesting that it was pulled from a fresh roll or bag shortly after minting and carefully preserved. And this level of preservation is rare for any coin, but when applied to a multiple error piece like this, it elevates the value exponentially. And to ensure authenticity and maximize its market appeal, the coin was submitted to one of the top third-party grading services, where it was certified not only for its grade but also for its error attributions, making it an officially recognized variety that could be confidently marketed to high-end collectors. And when such a coin enters the open market, it often sparks fierce bidding wars, especially if it is the finest known example of its kind. And in the case of this 2000 cent, it is believed to be either the finest or one of the finest examples of a double die / off-center / plating error combination from that year, which is why serious collectors were willing to pay the staggering sum of $10,000 to acquire it. But beyond the monetary figure, this coin also serves as a perfect teaching example for both novice and experienced collectors about what makes an error coin valuable, because value in the error market is driven by a combination of rarity, visual impact, and condition, and here all three are maxed out. The rarity comes from the improbable convergence of multiple distinct minting mistakes. The visual impact comes from the bold doubling and off-center strike that even a casual observer can spot, and the condition ensures that the coin's features are preserved exactly as they were when it left the mint, allowing future generations to appreciate its uniqueness. And when we dig into how such a combination of errors could happen in the first place, the most plausible scenario is that a working die with a significant double die obverse was installed in a press without detection, and at some point during striking, a planchet was fed into the press slightly misaligned with the collar, causing the off-center strike, while at the same time that planchet itself had an imperfect copper plating job from the earlier stages of production, resulting in exposed zinc spots that add to the error profile. And because all of these events had to happen in sequence and without being caught by mint quality control, the odds of such a coin existing are astronomically small, making it truly one of a kind. And for those who wonder if they might have a valuable 2000 penny in their own change, the advice is to start by checking for strong doubling on the obverse, particularly on the date and lettering. Then examine whether the design is properly centered, and finally look for any unusual surface features such as plating blisters or discoloration. And if you find a coin with even one of these features in good condition, it may be worth setting aside for further inspection. But if you're lucky enough to find one with multiple errors, it could be worth hundreds or even thousands. And while finding the exact combination that made this coin a $10,000 treasure is nearly impossible, the thrill of the hunt and the possibility of discovery is part of what makes coin collecting so endlessly engaging. And this 2001 cent stands as a reminder that modern coins can still produce spectacular rarities, and that sometimes the most extraordinary treasures can be hiding in plain sight. So keep your eyes open, your curiosity alive, and your coin jars full, because you never know when your next handful of change might contain a story worth telling and a coin worth a fortune. And if you've enjoyed diving into the fascinating tale of this remarkable penny, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join us again as we continue to uncover the hidden gems and incredible stories from the world of rare coins and numismatic wonders.